Eileen, would you like to share?
Yes. Okay. So I'm 27, well, actually 26. I'm turning 27 shortly, but it's kind of going to be a little hard for me because I don't really like to talk about this that much. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys don't. So my parents were divorced since I was 3 years old. I was born in Guatemala, and so I grew up with like a single mom, and I have like an older brother and sister, and so it was kind of hard always knowing I only had one parent, and my mom never graduated high school. So she was working like minimum wage jobs, and most of the time she had like two jobs at a time. So my older brother was really kind of like my parent growing up, and he would like pick me up from school or like drop me off. So we became like very independent, and we had to always just like help each other or learn from each other. And that kind of affected my studies always because I never had a parent that I could really ask questions to or who could help me with homework because sometimes she didn't have the time or she didn't know the answer. So it's kind of hard to kind of teach yourself or teach them while you're learning too. Um, and so luckily I was a hard worker and I had good teachers who would always like try to help me out because they knew the situation. So that always helped. And, I finally in high school went into this law and public safety academy. So I always went to Chicago public schools. I'm from Chicago. So um, that teacher really believed in me, and she like put me in this prep class for ACT, and she exposed me to a lot of what law was. So we were able to go to like the FBI building downtown, and we did mock trials, and we had an internship. Luckily, I was able to do an internship in Northwestern, which kind of grabbed the idea of wanting to work for like the wrongfully convicted. It's always been like a passion of mine, so I was glad that I did that internship. But that teacher believed in me like no one else had, and I was able to get into Loyola University. And there I majored in political science and criminal justice, which I learned a lot of like how institutions can affect people of color mainly, and how simple things like you're always feeling like institutionalized in a way, like, in a way that you always kind of having to defend yourself from other people so that they understand where you're coming from. And that happened to me a lot at that school because it was mostly like people who had more money than me or people who looked nothing like me. So I always felt like I didn't fit in at that school. And then at home, I felt like my parents didn't understand really where I was coming from. When I would try to explain these things, she would just think like, oh no, it's all in your head. You don't know what you're talking about. So I always felt like I didn't fit in back at home with my friends because most of them didn't go to college. And I never felt like I fit into college because I didn't fit this mold that everybody else fit. I had to work while I went to school full time. I commuted. I didn't get to get the full college experience because I couldn't afford it. My mom couldn't afford it. So I felt like I was always constantly having to fight against the current. And, I graduated from Loyola with a 3.4, so I actually did pretty good, even though I worked most of the time. And it was just this constant thing of like, am I good enough? Do I know what I'm doing? I remember like my first college paper that I ever turned in was like an English paper. And my professor just wrote on there like, oh, this is 8th grade writing. So I kind of felt really like offended by that. And it was just kind of like this thing of like, man, you don't know how hard you're right. I probably do because I didn't have the teachers who could teach me the way I was supposed to. I never had a parent who could teach me the way I was supposed to. So I always felt like inferior to everyone else or like, and I remember wanting to transfer from Loyola because I didn't feel like I fit in. And I was like, okay, this is just too much for me. I just have to find a school that's more like me. And I realized like I had to fight this. Like once I go to, corporate America or wherever life leads me, I'm always going to probably feel this way. And I have to teach others and myself that it's okay to not be like everyone else and just make your own space. So I feel like, those kind of struggles, like someone else said too, like they force you to be stronger and make yourself better. And to know that sometimes, yeah, we do have to fight twice as hard for the same things that other people don't. And I think that's kind of what my journey has taught me in life is like fight twice as hard, even when you feel like you're alone, in this journey.
Eileen, would you like to share?
Yeah. So same thing, Steve. Thank you seriously so much for doing this, especially because of the reflections I'm about to talk about. I feel like one very important thing that came through this is the validity. So basically, I didn't realize it either, but through this forum, I feel like I have more validity in the sense of like, yeah, I do have a struggle, and other people got to acknowledge it. And I feel like that to me was powerful, and also acknowledging and hearing everyone else's story and acknowledging their struggle. Sometimes I feel like going through my experience, I just focused on like, oh, am I making this up? Can someone else understand what I'm talking about? Feeling out of place, and it validizes that yes, this does happen, and it doesn't only happen to me. So that, and the powerful of being kindness to one another. I feel like a few people also mentioned how it took an unkind word or questioning from someone else, myself included, to put you in a state of mind where it's like questioning yourself. And sometimes like we have to be conscientious not to do it to other people if it's been done to us. I think those two things are very powerful, and I learned that through this experience. So thank you, Steve.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.